Hello and good morning. Welcome back to Beacon, our spiritual home in Summit, New Jersey, we where our radically inclusive community seeks to feed the human spirit and nurture the world. My name is Lucia Selzer, and I am a member of the senior youth group here at Beacon.
My name is Dana Moore, and I'm a member of the Lifespan Ministry team. Today, I stand here in our sacred Beacon Sanctuary, steeped in the 113-year-old traditions here and histories of our Unitarian and Unitarian Universalist ancestors, called to be present to the learnings and yearnings of our youth, the inheritors of their legacy.
Along with Reverend Dr. Robin Tanner and Dr. Tuli Patel and many members of our senior youth group, we welcome the spirit of our ancestors and the wisdom of our senses, the love of this community as we worship together today.
Let us journey with our resilient, confident, and compassionate youth as they bring forth the light of truth, the warmth of love, and the energy of action in today's service entitled Behind the Curtain.
Reverend Jacob Trapp, former minister of this congregation from 1945 to 1970, once reminded us, everything is holy. If the doors of perception were cleansed, everything would appear as it is, infinite. Matter is holy, the matrix of existence. As we kindle this light that has guided our spiritual ancestors for centuries, may it make clearer the holiness within and throughout. May it illuminate in this time the connections across life and even beyond death.
In my office at Beacon, there are 2 human skulls gifted to me by longtime Beacon member Phoebe Lanzoni. People sometimes comment on how macabre this is, until I tell them that for me, the skulls are reminders that one day I too will be an ancestor, and that I'm here today because, as Reverend Robin says, the cloak of our ancestors is about our shoulders. Ancestral honoring, veneration, one might say, crosses religious, cultural, and socioeconomic boundaries. From Pitru Paksha in Hinduism to the Hajj of Islam, from Senegal to Cambodia, from indigenous peoples here in the Americas to lantern festivals in China, from ancient Egypt to modern Day of the Dead rituals, bearing witness to the great cloud and cloak of ancestors is universal for us humans. Such honorings might involve offers of food and water. Our ancestors might be hungry and thirsty after all, prayers and visiting tombs or burial sites. Our Unitarian Universalist youth today are bearing witness to this great cloud and cloak with their thoughts and reflections. Like you, gathered here, are adult guides Chad, Lisa, Dennis, Andy, Barbara, Suzanne, Sean, and Madhura, without whom we could not even have a youth group, are bearing witness in turn not only to their own ancestors, but also to our youth, present with and to them every week. The act of bearing witness is not a passive one. It takes time, creativity, attention, and intention. When we are ready, we offer collectively a loving gaze to that great cloud and cloak, and as we do so, equanimity, wisdom, and discernment arise. Let us hear from our youth.
Hello, I'm Jonas Simbala, and today I will be telling all of you a story of ancestry and grief. To start it off, I want to explain what ancestry means to me. Ancestry to me is anybody who has had a significant impact on my life by either guiding me or helping me get through a problem that I struggled with. To explain my family's ancestry, on my dad's side, he has 3 brothers, his dad has 2 siblings, and his mother was an only child. Though, on my mom's side, she only had 1 brother, her father had a sister, and her mother also had a sister. For non-blood related people, there's my 5th grade teacher, 3rd grade teacher, 7th grade English language arts teacher. I could continue to list all of the people I consider ancestors, but I think that would take a lifetime. The reason why I'm telling all of you this information is I wanted to give some of you a backstory on my life. My mom died of cancer 6 years ago. And even though it has been 6 years, I don't think that the hole after her death will ever fully be filled. But I have found that after a certain amount of time, depends on the person, you can start to enjoy and have a sense of pride, happiness, or warmth of the memories that you may have thought were insignificant beforehand. Some examples of this, for me, is a memory of sitting in my mom's car while she had low blood sugar and ate some prunes. And then after that, we went and had brick oven pizza. I think it was probably one of the best pizzas I have ever had for the main reason I had it with her. To some people, this memory may seem not significant at all or important, but it's a memory that I have of being with her that I relish and find happiness in. I encourage you to use this memory. I encourage you to use this whenever you find that you miss someone that you lost or want to remember them better. But you may not have all the memories that you had of them beforehand. Some final and parting words that I have for all of you. I would like to encourage everyone here who has gone through loss in their life to try to open up to someone, even if it's a very tiny bit. Opening up to people can help you with your own understanding of your own loss. Personally, it has helped me with helping others when they go through loss.
Hello, my name is Meredith Burt, and I'm reading a poem called Tea with Grandmother by Mary Wellemeyer. I have her teacups, some of them, stashed away for the day when I might be a little old lady, entertaining little girls with ladylike tea. I take them out from time to time, small, delicate, this one with Scotch thistles, that one with shamrocks, these others with all kinds and colors of flowers, all the little curved handles that finally defeated her arthritic fingers. I knew her before that defeat. We had tea quite often, over many years, a good black tea, fragrant, and strong enough to hold its flavor through lots of milk. Today, I drink tea alone. No, not alone. I take another cup, and I set it out for her. We are old ladies together, she and I. She the master, I the apprentice. For now I near the age when I might entertain little girls at tea, and I don't know how to be old, to sit gently, to offer my presence, not too strongly, just enough to welcome a girl and help her feel at home.
Hi, my name is Kendall, and I've been coming to Beacon since 2016, around the time when my middle daughter, Maya, was born, and my oldest daughter, Naomi, was about 3 years old. Around that time, I started to feel a bit of a spiritual longing for a community and faith, something to feel grounded in as an adult. There was a coworker that I admired who mentioned that she was a Unitarian and had grown up in the Unitarian church. And she talked about how when she was growing up in the church, they explored all the different faiths and they were encouraged to really take and uplift the parts that resonated with them. And I just thought that was so incredibly interesting and open-minded. My grandmother grew up in Southern Baptist Church in Texas, which is not as open-minded, and I remember turning away from religion when I was much younger. So when I heard my coworker's story, I Googled it and I started looking around, figuring out what Unitarianism was and what it stood for, and then I found Beacon in Summit, which wasn't far from my home in Maplewood. So one Sunday we all got dressed up and came to church, not knowing what to expect, but I remember Carol and Norm Miller just welcoming us right away at social hour. And by the end of it, my daughter Naomi was giving her the biggest hugs. And she has been ever since. Now we have 3 daughters, and we are finding our way back to Beacon since the pandemic. But I love that they are being exposed to such amazing role models across the congregation, people who just embody love, kindness, and acceptance. And I'm becoming more involved, having joined the Widening the Circle team and living into our 8th principle to build an anti-racist community at Beacon. So I'm realizing it's not just for my kids, but I've also found my spiritual community and really am feeling so blessed to have found that grounding and faith and a welcoming home to belong to. Thanks.
I'm sure we all know Halloween. And since the service is happening on Halloween, I think we have bigger problems if some of you don't know what Halloween is. But my point is, we all know the beloved holiday filled with sweets and costumes and screaming children wanting candy in the days leading up to that magical, magical night. But the origins of Halloween go back much further to the Celtic or Gaelic harvest festival, marking the end of the harvest season, the beginning of winter, and the descent into the dark part of the year. Now, this holiday was one of 4 Celtic fire festivals, each spread throughout the year, including Imbolc, Beltane, and Lunasa. But for our purposes, I will just be focusing on Samhain. Samhain, like many other holidays around the same time of year, is a holiday focused on death, the dead, and transitions of all kinds. In many forms of belief, it is the time of year where the veil between the spirit world and the physical world is the thinnest, meaning that this is the time when we are the closest to spirits, natures, deities, and ancestors. Samhain is a holiday centered around honoring and connecting with our ancestors. A common practice is hosting a dumb supper, a silent dinner where a plate of food is left at an empty spot on the table for deceased loved ones. It's common to write letters, notes, or try to speak with the dead at these dinners. I am personally very involved in celebrating Samhain. My family is very interested in genealogy, and the side that I know the most about is my Irish side. I have grown a lot spiritually over the past 3 or 4 years, and in my search of faith, I came across Celtic revivalist paganism, a religion based on the traditions of ancient Celtic pagans. I realized that a lot of the beliefs in the religion, beliefs about nature, the universe, and energy, align with what I already believe, and so I started trying to incorporate more of those practices into my daily life. This year will be my second year celebrating Samhain, and I have to say that it is one of my favorite holidays. It provides some sort of meaning to life and death and helped me expand my views on death. Speaking generally, death is something that's very difficult to understand for humans because it's nearly impossible to comprehend nothingness. I think that's a big reason why death feels so painful to us. We can't fully comprehend it the same way we can't fully comprehend what would have happened or existed before the universe and before the Big Bang. I think for me, being drawn to sound reflected this because it gave me a more tangible way to think about the spirit world. If you have any time this holiday season, I'd recommend taking some time out of your own day to think about your answers. You might just like what you find.
Hello, my name is Lucy Bogus, and I am Eleanor of Aquitaine, former Queen of France and England. This meditation was inspired by Leslie Takahashi and Nancy Reed McKee. Sit and rest for a minute. Take several deep breaths in and out. And in and out again, calling your attention to this space. Attention. Pay attention. Pay attention to where you are right now. I mean, where you are and where you are and where you are. You are here in this sanctuary, in this community, in this state, in this country, in this big, beautiful planet, whirling through the tailspin of a galaxy. You are unique. You are made of cells and hormones. You are a mix of thoughts, emotions, and values. In the daily weave of our lives, those who have died are still strong, guiding threads. Theirs is a golden glimmer, or perhaps a brilliant red, or maybe melancholy blue. Still, they are part of the whole cloth of our lives. They are the ancestors, the goers before. Through this, we know immortality. A grandmother and a granddaughter will talk for hours while holding a photo album. In the hour-to-hour rush of our daily lives, they travel with us through everything, through what they have taught us, which is now ours to do, through something they loved, which is now ours to carry, and through something we shared, which is now ours alone, and yet not. Through this, we know immortality. In the minute-to-minute grasp of where we are, we remember the joys our departed gave us, which opened us up to hope. The sorrows we knew together, which taught us strength. The life we shared, which is now ours to steward. Through this, we know immortality. They are more than remembered. They are memory. For what we love lives on in the way our beloved dead accompany us through our life. Their words and wisdom, our guide. Their humor, our relief. Their restlessness, concern for the world, our charge. Through this, we know immortality. You are the inheritors of your parents and ancestors' dreaming. You are part of the human inhabitants on this earth. You are. You exist. You are breathing. You are still. You are connected, and you are present. You have a holy spark inside you. You are here now. You are paying attention. Blessed be.
Good morning. I'm Terry Polachek, Beacon member. There is no doubt that life is full. Simply a conversation where someone asks how you are and really wants to know your answer reveals that fullness of life, which includes both joys and sorrows, both struggles and celebrations. Each week, we at Beacon endeavor to honor the fullness that is life. Let's take a moment together to reflect on our own joys and sorrows, our struggles and celebrations. Perhaps with our hands on our hearts, we can offer up strength and good energy to cope with our difficulties and personal struggles. In the chat, we can also lift up the names of a person or a place that is struggling so that we can hold them together. Within our Beacon community, we lift up Kathy Batali, who lost her foster brother, and Becky Sinden, who is healing after her surgery. And we celebrate fellow Beacon member Dorothy Hennings, who is publishing a book about her travels with her husband George. We lift up all those helping to stem the tide of climate change, as well as those who suffered loss in the wake of all the storms and unsettled weather this week. Let's also remember and give thanks for the simple joys we encounter as well. This morning's steamy cup of coffee, a smile from a loved one or a friend, the color of the leaves as they begin to turn in the autumn weather. Beauty makes its way into our lives and offers comfort even in the darkest moments. Today at Beacon, we celebrate our youth. They've lived through unprecedented times of anxiety, isolation, and confusion. Let's lift them up today with fervent hopes for a brighter future ahead. Also today, many of us, youthful and not so youthful, celebrate Halloween. As goblins and ghosts and astronauts and princesses of all shapes and sizes ring doorbells in anticipation of little treats, we're reminded that in some cultures it's also a time to remember our ancestors and our lost loved ones. I light a candle today in their honor. Feel free to say a name out loud or put it in the chat. Light a candle wherever you are and remember them always. With each candle lit, may each one of us know that we are held in the care and love of our community. Joy, beauty, and blessings are all around us. Lift up a celebration in your life. Birthdays, anniversaries, new beginnings, good endings, healing. We celebrate you. Today I celebrate the shy little ones hanging back hoping for a treat. I celebrate the older, taller ones awkwardly holding on to this little bit of childhood innocence. I celebrate the children. And I celebrate the courageous members of our Beacon community and the greater community who strive every day to make this a safe and welcoming place for those little ones and for all of us, young and old alike. For these gifts and so much more, we give thanks. Thank you.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
We want to give you a chance to name and honor your ancestors, however you understand your ancestors. Take a minute to call to mind the names and places in the chat as I share about one of my ancestors. Bonnie Faye Allen, a woman from Kason, Texas, a sweet, kind-hearted woman, my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother would sit and ponder on life. She didn't need a TV and she didn't need a phone. She got enjoyment out of cleaning our whole apartment head to toe, singing church songs, and talking about old stories. She could go on hours on end about her mom, or how her friend reminded me of when I got a little too nosy for my own good. I was 10, still scared of the dark, and slept in her room. She would tell me stories about her experiences as a Southern Black woman growing up in the South, how her mother's cows got stolen, to how she heard Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech on the radio, giving his I Have a Dream speech in Washington. She was so full of delight. We were in poverty and couldn't afford most foods at times, and living off of food stamps. Sometimes when I was so hungry, she would give her last dollar to me, putting me forward. I was taken out of my home in the spring of 2019. I saw her face of confusion. She had developing Alzheimer's and dementia. Soon, a few months later, I got word that she broke her hip from cleaning. She was in East Orange General Hospital. I was heartbroken. My great-grandmother, sweet as can be, was sick, and I couldn't help her. I blamed myself, but she told me not to. From her words, she said, "God has plans for his children. He knows I'm getting too old to take care of kids." It was a struggle for her not to remember me. Currently, she is in a nursing home in Morristown. Today, she lives peacefully. So when I think of my ancestors, I think of her and people like her, how kind and selfless she was.
Of Bagpipes and Pirates, a poem by me. My paternal grandfather, Chet, was quite a character. Every afternoon, he would be banished to the small back porch of my grandmother's house to practice his bagpipes. He played a variety of instruments, but of course chose only to practice the bagpipes regularly, much to my grandmother's displeasure. He was eccentric in that way, wholly himself, uncompromising. He was one of those people that always made sure you knew how much he loved you and valued you. Grandpa Chet would engage you about whatever you enjoyed. For my siblings, Legos. For me, soccer. He always wanted to talk about whatever made you happy. My fondest memories of him involve us playing in this tiny inflatable raft, doing imaginary pirates. Me and Ben would clamber onto it and splash and fool around. But in my memories, the three of us had fantastical pirate fights on a massive blow-up pirate ship. That was another thing that was so special about him, the way he brought our imaginations to life. He passed away while I was in middle school, and there was a time when he wasn't himself while he fought his illness. I think that was the scariest thing for me, not having him be there, not being able to see him smile. It brings me peace, I think, that when he did pass, he died as himself, and I was able to laugh with him a couple more times before I lost him. When I think of my ancestors, I don't think of what people traditionally think. I don't think of pilgrims and genealogy. I think of him and people like him that passed on their passion for life to me.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We are sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We are seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are
We have called them by word, by memory, by longing, by love.
We have called them, we who knew them in body or in story only.
Ancestors, spirit of life, love transcending.
Light stretching us to the stars, leaves we only glimpse as they release to earth.
We have called them as they now call upon us.
The veil thins.
Listen now, beloved.
Be led by these who live on in us.
Be led by that oneness of earth and spirit.